Welcome back, dudes. Lady dudes. As per usual, thanks for coming back to watch me talk about Yu-Gi-Oh! Again, like a big old nerd. But today we're here doing a top 10 video. Of course, you see this strange piece of clip art I decided to put in here because it looks whatever. But yeah, I'm doing a cool top 10 video today of the top 10 most underrated level 4 monsters in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! So before we jump in, I just want to make sure we're all on the same page here. So first things first, this is 100% my opinion. And so if I put a card on here and maybe you particularly don't underrate or undervalue that particular card, I believe that in general, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Community tends to underrate or undervalue these cards. So it may not be you specifically, but I feel like as a whole, the community does underrate these cards. And at the same time, keep in mind it is underrated. This is not straight up the top 10 level 4 monsters, period. I just think the level 4 monsters that would be better than these ones generally are valued as such. Everybody knows they're great, and that's cool. These are the ones that are undervalued for what they can do. So without further ado, let's jump right into the first card. Number 10, we've got Snipe Hunter. A pretty old card. This actually might be the oldest card. Let me look. Oldest card. It'd be very close. There's like 2 other cards on here that I think might be around the similar time, but might be the oldest card on here. It's obviously a pretty old card at this point, and he reads as follows: you can discard a card, then target a card on your opponent or on the field, period. Then you roll a die, and as long as the roll is not a 1 or a 6, you destroy the target. So every time you do it, it is only a 2/3 chance of getting the pop, but hey, it's better than 50, and it's not once per turn. So as long as you have more cost in hand, materials in hand, you can just keep going. You go, man, rolled a 6. Do it again. 4. There we go. Got that one. So really just like a board dismantling card. And the reason I think this card is undervalued now is just because of dangers. Like without dangers, this card would not be on this list, and this card may never come onto a list like this. But because of dangers and the fact that all their effects pop off on this card to generate you some kind of advantage or negative advantage for your opponent is just so good that, like, literally considering none of the dangers need to be normal summoned, this card you literally just like would normal summon Snipe Hunter, use the effect to discard, like you discard a Jackalope, pop something, and you get a summon off Jackalope. So like you're just getting so much, I feel like, including like the pops. And maybe this wouldn't be a main deck card for like a straight danger variant, but hey, if we end up in a point where like maybe you play a going first danger, so you wouldn't play this in the main, but maybe this is a good side deck card because you don't really use your normal summon with the danger monster. So maybe going second, you side this in just to like pick apart your opponent's board as you're generating advantage off your dangers at the same time. Just a thought. Nothing crazy, but that's why he is at 10 also. That like it is a very specific deck that he has value in, and not a ton outside of that. I mean, there is still value. Otherwise, you could play like Destrudo, Fairy Tale Snow, a bunch of other cards that could give you value in Grave. So, really cool card, and I miss him a lot because I used to use him. My friend used to use him when we first started playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And the card was broken. Card ruined lives. Anyway. Number 9, we have Gigantes here. I feel like it's pretty basic as to see why I would put this card on here. He's pretty simple. He can't be normal summoned, and he must be special summoned by banishing one earth monster from your graveyard. Special summons from hand. So you just banish an earth and then drop him out. And then he also reads, if he is destroyed by battle specifically and sent to the graveyard, destroy all spell and trap cards on the field. So, plain and simply, this is just a really easy monster to get on board. Just banish an earth. Get 1 earth engraved, and this guy's alive for a free 1900 beat stick. Then, if your opponent has something big enough that you can just attack into, you can force that and wipe a whole back row. So, in the right matchup, in the right situation, this card just blows out that, and you just win. You just win right there, pretty much. Like, if you play Paleos and they went first, and they just set 3 or 4 and summoned a Toad and ended their turn, if you can just get an Earth Engrave, you just special Gigantes and attack into Toad. Wipe 3 or 4 back row, and then what? Like, even if you couldn't summon another monster that turn, you may take 22 from Toad, but your opponent just top decked one card, and other than that, they just have the Toad. So if next turn you can deal with the Toad, you just win that duel. So in any instance like that, Altergeist, Paleos, True Draco, especially True Draco's actually going second. Ooh, just drop Gigantes and attack into their the True Draco monster and then wipe their back row. Ooh, that's powerful. So I just think he has a really high ceiling against the right decks. So he's pretty cool. Here, then a very, very personal card. This may not be on a lot of people's lists, should other people make the same exact list, but we have Dino Theorem. So this card says you can special summon it from hand, and then when you do, your opponent can target a level 4, specifically, monster in either player's graveyard and summon it to their field. So basically what you're aiming to do is not give them that chance. So if you're going first, you would just summon him before you have a 4 in grave, or planning on, like, hoping that your opponent doesn't put a level 4 of their own in grave when they go first, and then going second, you could play him and no worries. But keep in mind, it is level 4 specifically, which a lot of decks don't really play. I mean, looking at some of these decks, like Altergeist, Marionetter's the only level 4 they play. Like Frogs don't play level 4s at all. True Dracos don't play level 4s at all. Sky Strikers only play Ray. You know, so there's a lot of decks that just like do not play a ton of level 4s, so as long as they don't put one in grave going second, it works. And going first, you just don't put one in yourself, and you're good. So it is a lot of times just a free level 4, no cost, essentially. Go here, and I love the design. Look at this guy. He's so cool looking. Anyway, then we have White Dragon Waver Buster and Black Dragon Collapse Serpent. So these two are like, they go one in the same. I'm keeping them together on the same slot in this list because it didn't feel right to give them each their own slot because they work together so well. So pretty much they both say the same thing but opposite. So White Dragon says banish 1 dark from grave to special summon it from hand, and Black Dragon says banish a light to special summon it from hand. Then they say when they're sent from the field to the graveyard, you add the other one. So when Wiverbuster is sent, you add Collapse Serpent. When Collapse Serpent is sent, you add Wiverbuster. And I just think they're so good at generating advantage just because, like, as long as you put a dark in grave, you just, like, special Wiverbuster, link it away, add Collapse Serpent, and you already have a light in grave for Collapse Serpent because Wiverbuster was just sent to grave. So, like, and then you could do it and add a second Wiverbuster for next turn for, like, another follow-up, for, like, more follow-up plays. I just think there's you can get a lot of value out of these guys, and they don't take up your normal summon. So I think they're low-key, like, pretty powerful cards. And we also know that, like, the Guard Dragons are coming up relatively soon, so these cards may go nicely in a Guard and, like, a strong Dragon deck like that. Speaking of dragons, we move right into the King of D. God, Konami, why would you name something like this? So avoiding the name, this card's just like, it's pretty good. And like I said, the Guard Dragons are coming up, so this card might have some really solid value here. But pretty much when he's normal summoned, you discard any spell or trap to add either the Flute of Summoning Dragon, the Melody of Awakening Dragon, or Dragon Revival Rhapsody from deck to hand. The reason this is important is not really Flute of Summoning Dragon, but the Melody and Revival Rhapsody are both very powerful spell cards. One revives dragons from grave. The other one the other one adds 2 dragons from deck to hand. So just a really powerful, like, starter card, I feel like, for the right deck if you set up the deck that right way. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Just a pretty good starter, and we definitely could see him gain more value as we see dragons come into the forefront of the meta, possibly with Guard Dragons. So keep an eye out for him. Another very personal card is Ninja Grandmaster Hanzo. If you haven't seen a lot of my videos prior on this channel, I have a decent amount of Ninja videos, a couple. I love Ninja. It's one of my favorite decks of all time, and Hanzo is absolutely broken. He's 9 once per turn, and when he's normal summon, you add a Ninjutsu art card, or when he's special summon, you add a Ninja. And there's literally turns, if you play Ninjas, where you can loop Hanzo like 3, max 4 times in a turn, and literally just add 4 Ninjas to hand. It's broken. It seriously is the amount of advantage he can generate you by himself. So for that reason, I just put him on here, and I think Ninjas will get more support in the future. I'm not sure when. I think they will at some point, though, and Hanzo will be the centerpiece of that deck should it ever come into the meta. And I still think it's already like a tier 3 deck, like a solid deck that I've upset meta decks with it. multiple times already. So just a really solid card, and I think it's underrated, and I think the archetype is underrated as a whole as well. Then we move into Skull Meister. This is the only hand trap on here. It's probably why I put it on here. One, everybody sleeps on Skull Meister. They don't think it's very good, and I don't think it's amazing right now, but I think it definitely has value. So pretty much he's just like a 1700 fiend. He says when a card is activated in your opponent's graveyard, quick effect, send this card from your hand to the graveyard, negate that effect. So that's pretty cool. My favorite part about it is, like, I mean, there's a couple things in the meta now that it works on. Not a ton though. I mean, any card that has a floating effect on Centigrave, this works with. So that's the first thing. Like Goki's, you could just negate a Goki's ability to add. Use this on Reincarnation, playing against Trickstars. Trying to think if there's anything like super specific. Ray, you could use this on Ray in the grave. So if this is kind of like Ghost Bell, how like Ghost Bell has like hits everything, hits like one thing in almost every deck, it feels like, right? And then, but in this card, well, like Thunder Dragons, doesn't the fusion card banish itself to activate? So I believe this hits that as well. So this card hits like one thing in like every deck, it feels like. And he's also a 1700 beat stick. So that's one of my favorite thing about level 4s is that, whoa, spoilers. You saw nothing. Nobody saw nothing. Almost all of them are like beat sticks here. All the ones I have here, I mean, Snipe Hunter is 15, so like not really, but like Gigantes 19, 16, 17 and 18 beat stick level. Not King of D, but a lot of them, as you can see, a lot of them are beat stick level. 1800, 1700. Like I feel like 17 for level 4 is like where we start calling things relative beat sticks. Speaking of beat stick, this is the biggest one on the list, Iron Dragon Tiamat. This card came out fairly recently. I think it came out in Flood. I want to say it came out in Flood. If not, it came out in Saiho. No, maybe it was Saiho. But it's a pretty powerful card. So the summoning condition is a little steep. There has to be 3 or more cards in the same column for you to just special summon him. It's a quick effect to special summon him, so that's really interesting as well. Do not forget that. And then if this card is special summoned, period, destroy all of the cards in this card's column. So as that quick effect summon, as soon as your opponent would drop something, so if your opponent like set a back row in like the second zone, and then you set one there as well, and they summon a monster to the extra zone, you just drop him, and then you wipe your one card, because like you're gonna have to play a card pretty much to make this work, but you'll be taking 2 from your opponent at least, and it's a quick effect, so it's a pretty nasty disruption there. I think definitely against the right decks, this card could be pretty dirty. Neither player can use the unused zones in this card's column. That's another really interesting thing as well, because if you play this in the 2 or 4 zone and you wipe like just one of the zones that has the extra monster zone, if you on your turn fill up the other monster zone, then your opponent is just locked out of the extra monster zone period. So this is like a pseudo extra link card. Pretty good. And it's a 2000 beater, so not the easiest to get over. Trickstars, Sky Strikers, Altergeist. No, Altergeist can do it. They have the extra deck monster. Anyway, I just think it's a really cool card. I think at some point it will have its day to be like a side deck card, a fairly strong side deck card. Then, I believe we only have 2 left. Yeah, we only have 2 left here. So, number 2, we have Lightray Grepher. And this card's pretty basic to see why, especially right now in the meta if you're currently up to date. So pretty much Dark Grepher has been running through the meta with being very relevant in the FTK, being very relevant in Dark Warrior Link decks, not involving the FTK. It's just insanely powerful. Like if you draw him with Mally, you send Mally to special him, and then you can still send something else from deck to grave as well. Just super powerful card, and this card is very similar. You can special summon it by discarding one level 5 or higher light monster. That's a little rougher than dark, because a lot of dark monsters like to be engraved, because like, ooh, zombies, ooh, fiends are from the underworld, so a lot of them have graveyard effects, but light's not as much. They still do, like there's still a handful that do, just not as much, and I don't think as powerful right now as most dark monsters do. Like Dangers are dark, all of them. So you literally discard a Danger with Dark Grepher, but he doesn't have that because he has to be a light. Then it says once per turn you can discard a light monster, banish 1 light monster straight from the deck. So obviously it's a little stranger than Dark Grepher, because Dark Grepher says like discard a dark monster to send another dark monster from deck to grave, which obviously in most cases is generally going to be more useful. The only real use I can think of right now is that with Lightray Grepher, you could like discard a light to banish a Balancer Lord from your deck. And if you don't know, Balancer Lord is a level 4 monster. Cyburst says when it's banished, you can just special summon a level 4 lower monster from your hand. So that's the only thing I can do, is a little extender from hand, but you're also discarding from hand, so you're losing like 2 cards to special 1 from hand, which is a little rough, I feel like. Well, you're really only using 1, but still. I don't know. Like right now, I don't think it's very good, but I think at some point it very well could be, just like how Dark Grepher wasn't too prevalent until the last couple months. And we've been getting more and more like big, powerful dark monsters that have effects that work in grave. So, and then maybe we'll see some day come where we get a lot of light monsters that want to be banished. So we'll see. We'll see. I just think right now this card could be like, isn't in much, but could be very well in the future. Be the same as what Dark Grepher is now, just for lights. So keep him in mind. Don't forget about him. And then clearly number 1 on this list has to be Reborn Tengu. I have seen 0 meta decks that have played Reborn Tengu since Link's come out, and it's just insane, because if you read this card, it just says, if this face-up card leaves the field, period, special summon a Reborn Tengu from the deck. Not once per turn. And not when it doesn't have to go to the graveyard, it doesn't have to be destroyed, like nothing. This card's so generically good. This is like the equivalent of Malicious, like really, except this card's normal summonable. So obviously the problem is you need to play him in a deck that doesn't really need the normal summon all that much, because most of the time you need the normal summon him, and then you need to do your other stuff around him. But apparently there's been like a TG deck with the new TG support that like can make some use of Reborn Tengu, and it's just so strong. Like if you link him away for a link 2, you just get a new one, and then you link that one and get a new one, and link that one and get a new one. So like him and any other monster is really link 4. So you're making 2-card link 4s out here with Reborn Tengu, and it's just so strong, and it's still a 1700 beat stick, which is pretty good. And I just think I'm super surprised, honestly, that over a year, almost a year and a half into the Link era, Reborn Tengu has yet to be abused. And we'll see. I guarantee you at some point he will be absolutely abused immensely. But as so far, it hasn't happened yet. But it's going to happen at some point. Sooner or later, it'll happen. So trust me on that. But guys, thank you so much for watching this video right here. If you disagree with anything, let me know. If you agree, you think I hit everything on the head, let me know as well. And if you enjoyed this video, subscribe as usual for more, because I'm grinding, trying to do at least 1 video a day. That usually depends on what kind of news comes out. If news comes out, I'm making a video on it that day, on top of whatever other videos I made. I'm still in the process of trying to get deck profiles to go up and be kind of set up for that, but so hopefully that's not too far down the road. But thanks again for watching, guys, and have a great rest of your Thursday. Yeah. Peace.